Okay, so we're live. Welcome. And so that video here has been a little a minute, but this video here, we're going to continue our AIProg, which is our AI program. And the whole goal here, and we're going to do live coding of Rust with AI as well. And the goal here is to move from tool calling to program running. So that is the goal here of what we're doing. And that is a crate here that I'm creating. Which is the AIProg, and again is to go from tool calling to program running. So that is the goal. So in short here, the way that it will work is that, and I'm not sure, I'm going to assume that is there anybody or not? I'm not sure. Am I streaming? Okay, so I think there is, in my analytics it showed nothing. I'm sorry about that. If there is, if people can say hello here. I'm just not sure. The analytics doesn't seem to work very much. Concurrent viewers, yes, two like. Okay, good. Well on. Okay, thank you. Sorry, guys. I think it's not that we have a lot of users, but it was off. Okay, restarting from scratch. So today here, we're going to continue live coding with Rust, and we're going to do this AIProg. So AIProg here is a crate that I've created that I'm going to use in zcoder. So there's a lot of things. But in goal here of AIProg is to go from tool calling to program running. So that is the way. So rather, I have a little diagram here that I actually ask AI to do. Usually when you do a tool calling is you have the user asking something to your agent here, to your program, to your harness or whatever. And then it goes back here. Calculator could be anything, obviously. And if you want to pipe the result of one into the other guy, what you have to do is you have to make a call. I mean, you have to tell, hey, here's a cool tool that I have, and then this guy is making the calls and so on. It's go back and forth. It's actually the AI kind of mess it up here. But the point is that when you want to create multiple calls, it goes back and forth quite a bit. And so that is not necessarily good. And so the idea here is to say, rather to do that, what we're going to do is the following, which is when you want to have the AI doing something with tools, rather to say, hey, here's all the tools, and then you ping pong until we do all the works. We say, hey, here's all of the APIs that you have. It's kind of a dynamic API or a set of APIs. Write a program in Lua. You know how to write Lua. Here's the context, here's the instruction. Then the LLM send back the text answer, whatever they want to answer, and the program, and we can run the program. So like that is much simpler here for the AI to kind of saying, well, if I want to pipe some result into another one and all these kind of things, I can just send a program rather than saying, hey, call these tools, give me the result, and then I will call these other guys and all these kind of things. So that is the goal here of AIProg. And it's a Rust and it's built in Lua. So we're using the Lua as a scripting engine because it's very good and we've been using that. And that is what I've been using in AIPack. So there's quite a bit of experience over there to make sure that we can do that with in Rust here. So that is the thing. So I've created the thing, and so if you go to the web here, hey Xavier, nice to have you here. The crate here is here. It's a GitHub zcoder-run, so that is that guy. So that is this repo over there, and the goal here is, and it's a very early crate right now, so don't use it as your own risk or don't use it. I'm still shaping it, and here I'm doing the live shaping in code here. And then the thing here that what we have is the goal here is to have this kind of APIs, AIP, AI program, which is similar to AIPack, And then you can say file, read, write. You have some Git stuff, web, LLM, workspaces, and all these kind of things. You can have your own custom namespace over there. So there will be a set of things that we provide, and then you will be able to register also your own handler, and then it will do the stuff. So that is the goal of what we're going to do today. So now, if you go to this repo here, and I can put the stuff there, and that is the URL, and I'm going to put the chat. So now if we go there, so you will see that I have my source, and the way that we have in Rust here is that I have a prog macro, AIProg macros. I didn't push it yet to crates, but I'm going to push it, but it's pushed into the repository. And then here I have all my derived macros. So I have AIP from Lua, AIP into Lua, and all these kind of things over there. And then we have the engine, which is our own script engine, which is basically a wrapper on top of Lua with our registry. So the goal here is that I want the AI, the Rust, to be able to implement some functions. So that is based on AIPack, and AIPack has about 150 functions over there. And so I'm generalizing that, such as I can use it in different product, and one of them is zcoder. And so in this framework here, I have just a simple JSON parse and just a simple web get for now, and then I will do more. And the way it does here is you register, you have a registry, AIP registry. So that is what we created over there. We have a registry, which is in registry. And it allows us to add registry entries, which is basically the function that will do the job. So that is again. Now, the cool thing here, if I go to my terminal, so I have, so I'm using Z, and that is Alacrity, and with Tmux. So that is a Tmux stuff there, which I like a lot. And I'm using Hammer Spoon on Mac to do my my windows. So I can move windows like that. So it feels integrated now. And in fact, I even have a project picker like that, where I can pick my projects. And then when I command Option click, it will close both. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of integrated. And that is Hammer Spoon. Because with Z, opening project has issues now. So this way, it's only create a new window if it needs to create a new window. So that's my workflow here that I like a lot, because now I have this terminal, which is Alacrity and so on. Now, all of this config is, I have it on the Git somewhere. If you ask it, I can give it to you. It's JC, Z, and all these kind of things. And all the config are there, even the new Hammer Spoon. So the goal here, what I have is I have a little function over there. So I have the thing I like to do when I craft Rust is that I like to start with, so this is a library. It's a library that I want to use. I want to have it ergonomic. And it's kind of, again, the goal of this library is this kind of things where you create a set of APIs that are self-documenting, and then you are sending that to AI, and then you can run it. So there's quite a bit to be done here. And in fact, if you look at what we have in our cargo, we're using some very good crate over there. We're using obviously Tokyo CAD, JSON C parser, and then we're using so that's the GenAI, and then we're using our schema RS. Where is our schema RS? That has become a little bit the stuff now. I don't like it over there. I think the thing has been added a little bit everywhere here. That should be on the JSON part here. So usually what I like to do, JSON format, text format, that is kind of okay. And then I will put it there. Okay. So this went a little bit haywire, and usually I like to have other other. So that is the way I have it. And I actually teach AI how to code that way. But as you can see, even if I use AI a lot, I'm still OCD. So this whole thing of you don't need to be a coder to code with AI, I think silly. People will get burned, but that is not a us problem. The goal is use AI to even be more precise, to higher the quality and the speed. So that is the way. Don't get emotional. There's zero emotion, all passion. So the point here is that we have that. And in fact, if I have my terminal, I can do a CW1, CWE. So CWE is my cargo watch, or sometimes it's watch exec. So if I do a functions CWE, I like to have this kind of thing. So in my ZSH, I have this kind of thing. So before I was using cargo watch, now I'm using watch exec. It doesn't matter at all. Use whatever you want. It doesn't matter. The point is you want to have these short little things. I mean, at least the way it works. I'm very lazy. I don't want to type that all the time. So I'm making my little function. The function is more flexible sometimes than aliases. It doesn't really matter again. But here I can have the thing. So I can do C01. Simple. So you lose the autocomplete, but you gain in speed. So that's good. Now we're going to do that, and we're going to see that it does something very boring, but it's actually pretty cool. So here it is. We have an object and things. So now how that works. We just did a script engine over there, the new. And then we say exec the script engine. So that is our object of AIProg. And it looks very boring in a way because it's like, well, this is like 2 lines of code with Lua. But the script engine does a lot because that function is our function. And so the goal here when I'm going to work with AI and Lua, I want to sandbox everything. I don't want to give IO write and the standard Lua functions. The math will be there probably, but not the file write, the JSON parse. I want to normalize everything. So that is the goal. So now what we do here is we're using our script engine, and then we do like this, like a text, like that guy, and we do aip.json.parse. And so the script engine by default will put that function in it. And then it will parse the stuff, and then it will return. And that is a Lua object, so that's not JSON. It will return the stuff. Now, the benefit of that is that Lua is an amazing scripting language. It's like 300, 400 kilobytes. It's nothing. It's highly efficient, and it binds very well to C, C++, and therefore to Rust. And there's a crate here, which is a magic crate. The guys that did that are amazing, which is the mlua. And so basically, mlua makes it like if you had it in Rust. Now, obviously, when you have a string, it's going to live in the heap of the Lua inside the process. And so you are going to have back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's as good as it gets. It's like a little bit Rustculite for SQLite. So big fan of mlua, and it's probably best-in-class scripting engine if you want to have an embedded one. So that is the goal here. AIProg will be Lua 100%. So now, the thing here is that if we look at to say, hey, how do we call that guy, aip.json.parse? Here's a code that we have in the register. So I have this registry business, AIP registry. And a registry, you can merge them. And so here we have the module, which is web. And then we say init registry. And that will return a result of AIP registry. And then in this one, we have a register. This one we could actually, that was something I didn't. I think it's not useful to do that because before I was exporting that. So that will work very nicely. So basically register these functions, okay? Those functions, and that is a trick, is a little bit like Axum or these kind of things. They are normal functions. So if you go and click on that guy, it's a normal function. It's a normal Rust function. It's AIP, so that is AIProg. So like this is just my naming convention, but web post, handler. And then the ways that I'm working with AIPack, with AIProg, which is similar to AIPack from a program standpoint, is I'm going to follow the JSON RPC kind of scheme in a way, meaning that rather to have multiple parameters, I'm always going to have name parameters. And the way you do name parameters with language that doesn't support name parameters is by having one argument and then having a type. And that simplifies a lot, and that matches very well with JSON RPC, which is what the tools is. Because the goal here of AIProg is that, and this is kind of an ambitious project here, but if we can pull it off, it's going to be magical. The goal here is to say, not only will provide your own APIs here, but I want to be able to take any MCP tools or JSON RPCs, any MCPs that are defined with the JSON RPC stuff, and make it dynamically a Lua function. So then again, the program just needs to write a Lua code. So that will be the magic of the stuff, if I can pull it off, which is a big if. So now, the thing here is that the way it works is we have this type, and then if we click on that, guys, this is a type that needs to have debug clone, deserialize, and schema rs. And I think later I'm implementing this guy, the AIP from Lua. Now I have a proc macro that does that for us, but in this case, I implemented by hand. Now in mLua, they have a from Lua, but I'm taking over a little bit here, such as I have better control of what I want, and then behind the scene, you can use that as well. So this one doesn't compile, I don't know why. There's a problem here on my test. Five. Oh, yeah, fair enough. I kill my AI web registered. This is where. Okay, so that's why I was having this one to go directly to the setup script engine. I'm not going to change that now. We'll change that later. So let me go back to my AIP web. That's fair. And I'm going to restore and restore. Okay, boom, I'm back to square one. Okay, sorry. So that doesn't matter. The test is using that directly. I might have the test using the init registry, I think is good enough, but I will need to rewrite the support. There's one thing in Rust that now I'm starting to do a little bit is when test is a little bit on the bigger side, I put them in their own files like that. I don't really like it visually, but then it allows AI to just focus on what they need to focus on, which is sometimes nice. So when you want to just understand the API, you can just look at this and doesn't look at the test. So that's one thing that I'm doing now. And that is integration tests. They are not stuff. So if I go back there, what's happening here is we do the aip.json.parse. And so that is this module. And this module say, so this is also type, init registry, and that is this guy. And that is this guy. Now that looks simple and very boring, and it is, but it's very powerful because now what I can do with that is I can have crazy function, whatever I want. Yeah. And so if I were going to do, for example, to AIPack.ai, so that is, the AIPack runtime, agentic runtime. I have all these APIs. Yeah. I have file, editor integration, text path, markdown, JSON, 2ML, YAML, all of these kind of things. Yeah, you even have Git here. It's very, very basic. Handlebars and all of these kind of things. CSV, PDF, you can split files and all of that. So I want all of that to be in AIProg. But before doing that, when I was doing that, I just built it for the AIPack runtime. Now I want the AIProg to be a little bit more generic and to allow people to build their own function if they want to. So that is a goal. So that is pretty cool. So now what we have here, if I have this, is we have this guy, which is returning this object. So that is the stuff. Now, the cool things is that I can have a custom now method. And that is where it's getting very powerful here. So there's quite a bit of of annotation today. I'm going to try to simplify it. But the goal here is to say, let's say that we want to have a hello, a greeting. So the way it works is you define your type, which is going to your parameters. And then you define your greeting result, which is going to be the response. So sometimes I call it response result. I need to, in JSON-RPC, that will be result. But in Rust, that is result. So it's a little bit confusing here. But that is the AIP response, and that is just a double type. Yeah? So now when I do that, I'm going to do a CWE C02 custom. And that will run hello world. And again, it looks simple here, but it's starting to get very cool because I can use that guy to do anything I want now in a relatively simple way. Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask here in the chat. More than welcome. And then we'll go from there. Okay. So now the things that we are going to do is, so now that we have understood a little bit how it works, the things that we are going to do is we're going to add, so I wanted to add, so we have the parse, so we have all this function. And one thing I wanted to do is, one of the goals of all of this types wrapping and everything, is to allow to be a self-documenting. Because what we want again is when we send the things to AI, it say, hey, here's all the APIs you can use. Yeah, you can use, and here's the types, and here's the way it works. So what I want to do now is that in the registry, so the way it works here, in the registry, we have the registry over there. And things might be moving here. And I have all of these type handlers, so that is all the plumbing to make the things relatively simple. When you pass a handler, it's the same thing as Axum or whatever. And so that allows us to have the function wrapping and so on. But then from a user standpoint, what you care about is this one. Yeah. Now, what we want here is to say, hey, what we want now is to say, okay, I have all of these functions. So the way it works in my script engine, when you do a script engine, and that is Lua again, yes, and I do, so that's my super. I put super because I don't want it to bleed outside. I have a debug here because I don't want to, debug that guy. And then when I do the new, I do the init native kind of guy. So that is my little setup to support null in Lua, because Lua doesn't have null, they have nil, which is undefined in a way. So there's a whole little things here that we can do, but that is done here. And so that is specific, but that's fine, will be documented, so the AI will be aware. And then after we have a from registry that basically take a registry. Now, the way it works, if you look at the new here, it will create the modules. So the modules is here, that is the script modules. And it will call init registry. And the init registry, it's over here. Usually I don't like to have function in my mod.rs, but in this case is the exception. I could have init here, that would be fine. But init.rs, that would be perhaps a good pattern to follow, to have init.rs, yeah. And that init the registry. And so it starts a registry, the default, and then it asks the AIP.json to say, hey, init your registry, then it gets it, then it goes to this one, gets it, and then it merges it all the time. So like this, we merge it. What that will allow us to do is that now, if you go to custom, the trick here is that we don't have the AIP registry here. So if we were going to do a parse, it will fail because it wouldn't exist. Yeah? So that is a trick. Okay. Hey, no problem. So that exploit, that's the trick here. Sometimes when I say too early, then people kind of forget about it. Anyway, so what we're doing here, Xvoid, is, we are continuing the building, and I made quite a bit of progress compared to the last video, which is now we actually have, for example, for simple, we all actually have this implemented, very similar to AIPack. Okay? So AIP, AIProg, JSON.parse, and then I give the text. And so everything is named now, and then it returns the value and then stuff. So now if I do that, CWE, C01, simple, then boom, I get that. Yeah, which is actually pretty cool because that it's a function that is defined there. Okay. One thing that I'm looking forward to build as part of AIProg is a Chromium access with a CDP, which is a Chrome developer protocol, to remote control Chrome. And so I've been experimenting with a side project here, and that will be basically, we'll have an AIP, we'll have something like this, which will be AIP Chrome. Yeah. And we'll have that inside this folder, and we might do that today a little bit, if we do, just to do a get, just a simple way to put the thing together. Yeah, this is the AIP, AIProg runtime, engine, yes. That will make it readable completely, yes. So the goal of AIProg is to be able to be usable in zcoder, which is a new coding harness that I'm building. So there's a lot of things here. So this is why sometimes I don't know if I should make these videos, because it's too many things. And I don't know if I'm confusing more than anything, but I'm building this new zcoder coding harness, which is a parallel first, zcoder.run. And right now, the code, it's barely functional. There's nothing. It's not about coding right now. It's just like a shell. But the goal here is to have AIProg, such as when I ask the AI to do anything, it will be always a program. There's no tools. Yeah. So for example, zcoder will be workbench-centric. And when I say, hey, create a new workbench, in fact, it will send the AI to say, hey, here's a workbench API. In Lua, write the script to create the new workbench. Okay? No tools. Okay? So the tools become programs. Yeah. So that is the goal of the stuff. So the thing here is, the thing I like to say is that guy, which is basically from tool calling to program running. Okay. So that decoder and AIProg is a key part of zcoder. So right now I'm not working too much on zcoder because I'm working on AIProg, because that is what is a key. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So now what we are going to do here, so we have these things, and it's starting to be pretty nice now because I have this function in Rust, I have the types and everything, and now I can execute them. So for example, I have a web JSON here, and that is the function here that I have: JSON parse, JSON parse, JSON new line, stringify pretty. By the way, the stringify pretty, I might remove it. Actually, what about doing that now? Oh, that's pretty cool. Actually, let's do that now. Okay, cool. So we are going to do that. And okay, let's go. Let's do some code. I'm doing too much coding, talking here. So I'm going to copy that guy. And I'm not going to use AI now, but I will use it later. My strategy on AI is don't be emotion, zero emotion. There's too many emotion. And, I should do that if I wanted to have more viewers, but it's not about the emotion, it's about velocity. And velocity is speed, aim at quality. That is what velocity is. Yeah? Speed, aim at quality. So that's the goal. So for me, I like to have the 80-20% rules, where I code 80%, I code 20%. 10% to put the thing in track, 10% to drift control when AI go crazy, And then the goal is to have AI doing the mechanical part, or even sometimes the hard plumbing parts. Yeah, but I want to be in control all the time. In this case, I'm going to be in control because I'm shaping it and I'm brainstorming in my head as I write. So I'm going to have a JSON here, and it's actually, I'm going to, actually, I don't need that. I'm going to remove that. I don't want to make too much. I'm going to change this guy. This is what I'm going to do. So right now we have this, and if we have CWE, which is again cargo watch exec, I mean it's watch exec, cargo run examples, C01, simple. So like this, every time I press save on that guy, it will run that guy. Okay, so that is the things. And in fact, what I want is to say, okay, we have the parse, so that is text. We are asking to parse in JSON, which means that will be a Lua object, a JSON guy. Now, once I have the JSON guy, what I'm going to do is to say, I'm going to return it with the extra, and then, yeah, I'm going to add something. It's going to be weird, but I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to be pretty, and then I'm going to do a local extra pretty. So that is a pretty text. And that will be a JSON stringify. You know what? I think I'm trying to, I'm getting too confused here. I'm going to change my strategy here. I'm going to have that block is fine. And I'm going to have another one. That would be cleaner. Yeah, because otherwise it's kind of weird. So that will be printed in. And I like that a lot, this pattern of doing this coding, because then I can shape my AI, my APIs the way I want. So examples, when you are creating a library or something like that, is very nice because even for brainstorming, it's not only for outside people. Yeah, this crate is very early right now, but it allows me to shape what I want and how I want it to work. So that's why this is pretty good. Yeah, I've heard about Kimi 2.6, but now there's 2.7, which works with AIPack and everything. It doesn't work as well as DeepSeek V4 Pro. I'm using DeepSeek V4 Pro now all the time, and it works pretty good. So that will be the AIP.json.parse. And now I'm going to have another one here, which is going to be my JSON stuff, stringify. And so the stringify here, if I have a local data, and then again, we're in a Lua here, so we're going to have a message. Hello from Lua. And then I'm going to have count 3, okay, true. And then I'm going to have other or nest 1 equal 1. Okay, or 1 first. Okay, something like that. So that will create kind of this object, and the goal of that now is we want to stringify. So we're going to stringify. And we're going to pass the text. So the way that I've done it here for work well with AI and everything is, again, this name parameter. So now every time it will always be an object and is the name of the thing. So that is where is it kind of, I don't like compromise, but it's a trade-off between human and machine code writing. It's not too hard for human. You know, usually you will say, hey, stringify, you just pass your value. But then this one is this guy, and I think stringify is the text here is a value. So if I go back to the doc, to the doc, which is this one, and we want this one to be self documentation is data. Okay, that's fine. So today is data. We can change it if we think it's better. So we have data, and we put the data over there. Yeah, and now text, and we are going to return the text. Okay, and now we are going to print the result. That should return that. Okay, and it returned null. That is interesting. And why does it return null? Oh yeah, well, sorry guys. So it does work pretty well. So null, so it does work well. And then it returned that. Beautiful. So now what we can do here is we have this guy, and I don't like when, it's always a little bit silly when that, and then let result. Do we have a as string? Yeah, as str. And then okay, or. So one thing I like all the time is I don't like to use anyhow and everything. I like to use boxed in error not for my production coding, yeah, just for my examples and my my test. Okay, so my test, my examples, I like that on my XP and stuff, such as I can code fast, move everything, and it's almost as convenient as anyhow. So for example, here I say okay, no result string, and now I can do a question mark, and that works beautifully. Okay, and now if I go there, I get this, and because I display it in debug mode, I'm going to do that, and then stuff. Okay, so now this is cool because I have this, and then if I want to have I do a pretty like that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now what I'm going to do is I have a little it's tmux again over there. So my tmux now go directly to .workbench. I will talk about that later. And then this one goes to the root. So like this allows me to have multiple terminals, and that is a setup I like. So I always have that. So again, Z over there, Alacrity with tmux over there. And I have the whole spoon stuff, such as I can make the window come up, and then I have something like this, where when I here, for example, I can see the project, I can open the project. If I command click, it will close both the terminal and stuff, and I can do all of that. So it's pretty cool. You're right. Sometimes people, they do this kind of stuff, and I really, really don't like it. I really appreciate, I respect the developers that did anyhow. I mean, in a way, it's kind of a ninja trick, but it's one of these ninja tricks that put everybody in the wrong path, I think. Trust me, okay? You want to make sure to stay within the stuff. And moreover, when you have the boxed in is ugly, but anyhow is ugly as well. So it's better that. Now, there's time, I think, is in embedded or whatever, where anyhow is useful, but that is a very niche, coincidental aspect of it. Yeah. So anyway, all of that to say, boxed in for example and test is very good. Otherwise, you go with error. I have a video about my best practices of errors that I did a long time ago. So now we did that, and it's pretty good. So now if we do the pretty guy, press save, and I have the cargo wash here, sorry. And then we are going to have the pretty stuff. So that's pretty good. Now, I don't want that because before I had this because I had only one things here. But now I have name parameters. So what I can do is I can do a pretty equal true. In fact, I can be pretty cool because I can say, hey, if pretty equal true, I'm going to default to 2 space or 4 space or whatever. But then you can put your number of spaces you want, for example. Yeah. So that could be good. So now for that, I'm going to use, so if I do that right now, press save, it doesn't complain because today I silently ignore attributes that are not there, and I think I'm going to continue to do that. It looks weird, but that allows me almost to be forward compatible in a way. And again, in Lua, we are in scripting world. We are not in program hard-coded world. Yeah. So when you do the stuff in Lua, you don't code Lua the same way that you can Rust. You don't code Rust the same way you code Java. You don't code TypeScript the same way you code Java. So people that do dependency injection in TypeScript is like, it might be sometime, but it's not the right things, because in TypeScript, you have a single thread on all of your memory, so it doesn't really matter. So anyway, all of that to say that we have this, and so we want to add this guy. Okay, so now we have two options of this. We can go back there, and we can go to our JSON, and we can do it by hand. In fact, I would like almost to, but there's a little delay here. I need to learn how to set up my stuff to have less delay. But that is where I would love to do a survey with the people online. Say, do you want me to do it by hand, or do you want me to do it by AI? The AI my way, okay? But what I really want is something like this. I want a pub, and I want, actually, we're going to do a hybrid. I'm going to show you why. I want a pub, and I'm going to do a pub pretty, okay? And in the pub pretty, we're going to have option, and we are going to have, now I have two ways that and here it is, yeah? We're going to do something interesting here. I'm going to do the shape with my brain and the code with AI, yeah? Hey, Captain Chica. Okay, Captain Chica is pretty cool. So that is what I'm going to do, yeah? It's a good way to think about the stuff. Shape with your brain, code with AI, yeah? And so the things that I want is, I want to shape it with my brain. Now, sometime when I shape, I discuss with AI to say, hey, is that a good thing? Am I missing something and stuff? And I'm going to show you how I'm doing these kind of things. But right now here, what I want is to have a pretty. Now, I can have a pretty bool. I could have a pretty bool like that, and the default will be obviously the default will be false. That will work. But I'm going to follow this pattern because I want to make it clear that that is an optional property. Otherwise, it's not very clear. And again, the goal of this will be that eventually, thanks to schema RS, that should become self-documenting. So that's the goal again. Yeah? The goal of this whole thing that we're doing right now, that we're doing right now is this kind of things. Yeah? The AIProg, which is a crate, a tool calling from program. So the goal here is to really say, we write the program, we send it over there. But for that, we need to tell the AI to say, hey, here's a JSON, here's the API you want to have. So what we need is all the time to make sure that all of these APIs that we're doing in Rust, and this is going to be a lot, and I can have custom ones. So for example, in zcoder, I will have the workbench business because zcoder will work with workbenches. So that will be kind of the goal here. So this one, I'm going to put it in an option because what I'm saying is to say, hey, I want that to be clear that is optional. Tell to format the JSON. Okay, so we're going to do like that. Later, I could have, and so then the name of the enum is stuff, but I could have AIP, JSON. I don't know if I should have as long, but stringify pretty. and that will be the enum. Stringify, pretty. And that will be an enum that will have the Boolean and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that will be stuff, but for now, we're going to do this. Okay. Now, he's going to compile here and to complain because he's saying, well, we don't have this. And the question now is, obviously, that is simple to fix. Yeah, we could do let pretty, and we're going to do a none. And if I do pretty, so usually I don't like this. By the way, I'm going to tell you what I don't like. I don't like making this type, like the compiler find his duck, yeah, because I put pretty here, then he knows. But if I were going to do that, the compiler will complain. Yeah, it will say, hey, you know, what about none of what? Yeah, so then I will say option and bool. Okay. But because we have the pretty, so if I put the pretty2 here equal pretty2, then this guy is okay, but this guy is not happy anymore because the compiler doesn't find his duck. So I could do that, and it might be okay because, you know, pretty is a pretty guy, so it's fine. But sometimes I like to do that, even if I don't need to, because then it's there. But this way, when I read the code, I don't need to look around. I just have. That's just very personal things here. Yes, we could implement default. The problem of the default, if we did the default, I'm going to do the default here. So that is the next stuff. It's well far from AI, guys. It's not AI coding, but it's good to spend the time and to go slow. Sometimes we need to slow down to enjoy coding. So if we go stuff, but xvoid, if we use default, then I could, yeah, then I will do a pretty default, and then I will set the value one by one. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, this is okay. I understand what you're saying. So we are going to say local. So I'm responding to you here, xvoid. I think it's fine. So that is okay. Yeah, we could do that, and we do let pretty. And then I'm going to show you something pretty cool, actually, which the AI, because I created that with AI, and it didn't get the thing I wanted. Map air custom, yeah. Okay, well, whatever. So I'm going to do something like this, where I'm going to say table. So that is the table. In Lua, a table it's an object or a list, and they have both in the same guy. That's one thing. And then we have X get pretty. Get pretty, sorry. Get bool. So I'm going to tell you what this X business is. That is not part of Lua. I'm going to show you the pattern that I like. So mLua values is values that are inside the mLua, the Lua engine, scripting engine kind of stuff. And mLua is an amazing library. They give us a value, a little bit like CD value, which is actually reference the object in the memory of the other guy. But then for us, we treat it as a Rust object, more or less. The trick here is that it's like JSON, yeah, where you get the thing out and all these kind of things. And then the API gets a little bit, it's not that they have a bad API, it's just that it's, you know, sometimes we can make it more fluid. And so sometimes what I do is to say, well, okay, I have the M value and I'm going to use a trait API kind of extension pattern. So I have a Lua extension here, which I don't know why there's a S. I need to remove that. At least it doesn't conflict with this guy, I guess. And then I go there And this is my Lua extension crate. And now I have everything that I think will make my life easier and more readable across my code, regardless of the author of Lua. I'm not even saying that this stuff should be done by mLua. I'm just saying this is my thing. Sometimes it's not super clean, but it's very pragmatic and it's consistent and coherent. So that is what I do because I'm always doing these kind of things. So this way I don't have to have the T and then making sure that the other guy has the right T. And so I have these kind of things. And then because it's a Lua extension, it's a trait. It's an extension trait pattern. Then I can implement on value, and then I can implement it on table. And I can even implement it on option of value and option of table or whatever. So that gives me the flexible. Now for JSON, because I use JSON a lot, I mean, like everybody, yeah. I've done another one, and that is what you are saying here. Value ext. And then this one is for the JSON business. Okay. So that is one thing that I've done, and I put it on crate.io, which is, it's a crate that has this xget. And I put x underscore. Usually x means that is within my crate, but this one I put an x because the goal is not to say, hey, this is better than the API or take over the other guys. Is more to say, hey, this is a pragmatic way. Yeah. So there's some value of doing that. Eventually, what I want to do in this crate is to make this crate cross multiple types. Yeah. Thank you a lot, Bluebird. Big fan of your work. Try to understand the lifetime. Yeah, okay, I will explain the lifetime at some point. Well, one of my advice with lifetime is keep it simple at the beginning when you learn Rust. Don't be afraid to use arc. You have to understand it because otherwise you don't want to arc everything. You want to start with reference, such as you don't, when you pass reference when you can. And then when it gets hairy, that is time to go to arc or, to own and to clone. Yeah, because otherwise you can spend hours and stuff. The goal at the high level, Bluebird, of lifetime is in software programming. If you want the compiler to be memory safe, meaning that making sure that whatever object has been created and that has been passed as reference is still there, making sure that if there is someone that writes on it, nobody can read on it. The compiler needs to have a way to keep track of all of these references, to trace them back. And so otherwise you will clone all the time. Yeah. In Java or Go or whatever, because they have memory managed and they have a VM, they keep track, they're making sure that as long as the guy is used, is not deleted in memory. Now, what they cannot do is to say, well, you can have two threads writing on the same data. Yeah, can do that in Java, can do that in Go. With Rust, they solve the first problem, and by solving the first problem, they also solve the second problem to make sure that if one can write, nobody can read. And so the lifetime at a high level it's a way for the compiler to be able that it can trace at compile time the references that is still there and that there's only one guy that writes, if there's a guy that writes on it and stuff. So that is the gist of it. Yeah. Now, it can get very tricky, moreover, when you go to async and all these kind of things. And so often when you do multi-threaded and stuff, you either go with message stuff, arc, and you try to avoid too complex lifetime stuff. That's the goal. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you a little bit here. Now, one of the things here, and it's not the fault of the compiler, is that the compiler can know and can trace so much. So when you really know what you're doing, is you can say, well, the compiler thinks it cannot trace it, but I know I can trace it. And that is where you have the unsafe stuff. I, Jeremy, forbid myself to do unsafe. because when you do unsafe, you need to have a very good understanding of C and stuff. And I haven't coded C and C. My first language was C actually, but I haven't coded C for a long time. So for me, I don't touch unsafe. When there's good developers that use unsafe behind the scene, I'm not dogmatic about it. As long as they know what they're doing it and what they're doing is fine. Just for me, I don't do unsafe. Okay? And so, yeah, so that is the thing. Okay, so now going back to that guy, I have this pretty here. So we have two ways. So I have this guest bool stuff, and I say guest bool pretty. And that will be the pretty guy. And I compares. I will do the default later, xvoid. I like it. Yes. Very good one. Don't do that. Don't do arc-mutex. I mean, arc-mutex is very the exception. When you are on the mutex stuff, I do have sometimes, for example, when I use SQLite, I have a mutex for the write because I could use, a pool or whatever. But you have this zone of the mutex, try always to have a message passing kind of stuff. It's always better. I agree, xvoid. So now I can do this one and I do a get bool. And it's funny because, usually I almost will do that with AI, but sometimes it's nice to go and clean up the code. Like for example, here, I don't like it because it could have say, what is that? Is a stringify? Get data. No, get data is fine. No. To be fair, this is fine because you get a value anyway. So that is okay. Now, this one is not needed because they could have said that was not needed, dear AI. Hey, you see that? So that was not needed because I have a from for my error. Yeah, so the AI kind of missed that, but that's fine. So xneur, that stuff. So that's my extension to make sure that is neur. So Lua doesn't have the concept of neur, but mlua has it. So you have to opt in a way. So that's why now I have this kind of things, which is cool. So they have a value neur, which is very good. And you want to do that because when you work with CSVs or whatever, and you want a row per things, if you don't have neur, it gets tricky when you go to JSON. From Lua, and then we have this. So that is okay, and that will work okay. And that means that will return an option. So that's cool. Yeah. So the ways that I've decided in my library here, the X. So this is why this X, I'm like mixed about, should I do it or not? I remove some data. I say, hey, by the way, if the property is not here, I don't complain. I say no. If the property is not the Boolean, I don't complain. I say no. Okay? Sometimes this is why this is not really a replacement for the lower level API, because sometimes you want to know. Yeah. Say, hey, I want to have a result of saying if it's not. So that's one thing that I've decided in my ergonomic of my APIs. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't put it yet on value ext, because in value ext, my goal is, if you look at it, you can, I think I can do that. Oh, look, I can show you my new stuff. So that's with Hammerspoon, because the project switcher of Z, they broke it now. It's like it creates windows everywhere. It's crazy. There's a PR to fix it, but I don't think they're going to merge it. And I love Z, but sometimes they're like, I understand they are chasing the $1 billion and the billions is on AI. So they work all the time on AI features, which is good. Sometimes they are missing the basics, which is a little bit frustrating. But overall, Z is amazing and the team is rock stars. So I hope they are going to get their billions. So the thing I'm saying is I have a one which is value xt, okay? And so when I do that, I have the stuff there. And then I can have my little terminal over there if I wanted to. And that is when you see to cargo, this is where I have Oh, so the JSON is by default, okay. In future version, I might have, features where you say, hey, I want the value exe for JSON, for TOML, or for MLUA. But that was the goal is, if you look at the source, it's its own folder, JSON. Yeah. So that will be a Lua stuff over there, and could be a TOML or something like that. So that will be the goal, but right now I keep it simple, it's fine. And that will work. So now we have this guy that goes from Lua to a params. So I'm happy, and that's the only thing we need. And now what we're going to do is when we're going to stringify, we are going to string, set a JSON to string, that's fine. And I think they have, so sometimes I command click, I like that. They have a toString pretty, which makes sense. And so we can use that. And I have an X pretty me on my stuff, but I'm going to use this kind of things. And I'm going to say something like that. Let res, which is the result, because I'm going to match it the same way here. And I'm going to say if params pretty, and we're going to unwrap our default. Yeah? So I don't use unwrap alone ever, even in test and stuff, I don't use that. But unwrap all is good. So they were good, they were kind of a maintainer or someone from the Rust team, which they had a better name for unwrap, which was, I think, panic. And that was, or something like that. And that was such a good name. So it's tricky because unwrap is evil, don't use unwrap. But unwrap and all default is completely fair, because you never want your code to panic, yeah? Because the whole point of Rust is to be robust. So now if you panic stuff, then you kind of break the whole promise of Rust. Yeah. So we're going to do that, and then this one is we're going to do if, so that if is true, then we're going to do the pretty guy. And if it's wrong, we're going to do the normal guy. That's good. And now we're going to match that guy. Yeah, so that guy, so I have the thing in command U to toggle the types. And so is result stuff. A Rust kernel root and randomly cause kernel panic. Yes. So that is good. And now I have this. And if I go back to my C1 example, I'm going to press stuff. I'm going to go back there and boom. And that is pretty. Very pretty. Yeah. And if I do false, and if I don't define it, press save. And that is not pretty. Yeah. And that is good. So I'm going to do stuff. I'm going to say pretty true. And I'm going to say pretty true. Okay, that we did that. We cleaned that up. That's pretty good. Okay, so now I could write the test, but if I were going to write the test, honestly, I will have AI doing that one, because this one is good enough. So, and it's good. We're using the CAD pretty, such as we don't have to make the call about spacing and stuff. I think this is good enough. We're not going to go further. And so now the way I like to work is like this, and I'm going to do git AC, so it's append commit. Yeah. So I have these aliases because I don't like to type again stuff. Comma, and then I'm going to have, so I have a weirdo notation here with exclamation mark is when something changed. Here it doesn't really matter because the crate is so early. And I'm going to say AIP, JSON, stringify, add pretty. Add pretty. We're going to do like that, and then remove. And we haven't removed it, but I'm going to remove it now. Stringify pretty. Okay, so that's cool. So now what we want is, let's say that we can do that. Pretty, sorry. Press save. Now, so sometime what I do, CWA, C0. Yeah, and you are going to understand why, because later we might use AI on the first one. C01, simple. So sometime I do that here, but that is my workbench, that is my git commit stuff, and that's my AI. And then when I need new stuff, I do this. So that the pretty here is good because I do that, but now I want to go and break it. So I go back there, and I'm going to delete that guy. Boom. And that means that I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to delete that guy, which then, that's fair. No, not cool. I've reused the same one. And then the test is crying, no? Test not crying. Oh, test will cry. So if I do, if I do that, we can go test. That will cry, yes, because this guy. So CWT is cargo test as well. So like this stuff. And so I want to do that. Pretty equal true. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to stringify pretty. So again, for all of these Lua APIs, that is Lua, that bound stuff is named. So I'm going to do pretty equal true. And I think I'm okay now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now we do that. If we go back there, or pass. Nice. And so what usually I do, I can do it here. Git log and git amend, because that is the same guy. Yeah. So that's it. Push it, go there. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So that means that now, if I go to C01, example, and then I'm going to go to this one, that should complain, should kaboom, yeah. And then if we do that, that should work nicely. Perfect. Okay, so git log, that's pretty cool. Okay, so we have our stuff. So we have two things we can do now. Okay, so again, the goal here of this crate, AIProg, is to be able to tell the AI to say, hey, here's all the Lua APIs that you have. Those Lua are bound to Rust, so very efficient and everything. And then, do this work, and then the AI will write the stuff, and then we run it. Yeah, so that's the goal. Now, what we want to do is to be able to, once we have the doc, the registry, and the reason why is I've been using schema rs a lot. So if we go and look at JSON and all these kind of guys, is all schema rs, okay? So the idea of schema rs is I want to be able to self-document those guys. Yeah? So if I can document, I have the function name, which is registered with a path, and then I know the params, and I know the response and stuff. So that's why they're all kind of JSON. Now, there's a trick here on the performance. It means that the string will go from Lua to Rust, from Rust to Lua all the time. And that's one thing that I need to think about, but right now it's good enough. And so, let me stuff. And so now what I want to do is have something, perhaps an API. I'm going to go to my coder. So I'm going to use AI for that. So I have my AIPack. I don't want to use AI you want. It's not, I'm not pushing my tools at all. So I created the AIPack, and zcoder will take over later. But it's basically a runtime that allows me to run all of this Lua function. It already has that. It's kind of baked in. And within that, there's a thing which is called procoder, which is a pack, which is called procoder here. There's a video over there. And that allows me to do the development. And the reason of procoder, which all the good thing of procoder will become in zcoder, which is that guy, zcoder.run. So that will go there later. But right now I'm using procoder to code zcoder and to code everything. And the way it works is you have your knowledge, you have your context, so you tell the AI the surface that the AI use. The whole point about coding with AI is a surface game. So how do I give the right surface? Yeah, that's it. The problem with traditional coding harness is they don't give you this control, which I understand, because what they say, well, we want to be magic first. We don't want to hinder the user for that. And I understand, because that is actually sometimes, for many developers, is too much stuff to wrap their head. Me, now I'm like stuck to that. Yeah. So here I'm saying, here's what you see. In fact, you don't need to see my notes. And there I won't be able to see anything else of these guys. Okay, so I have the source, I have the crates here, which is other stuff. That is write mode, that is the auto context. So there's a whole thing about the auto context, and that's my workbench. And so now I always work with workbench business. Workbench, what is a workbench? A workbench allows me to say, hey, I want to create in this folder under workbench, and I want to have a chat, a plan, a spec, and perhaps some data over there. And then you keep track of all of the things that you're doing that you need to keep track of for the loop, for the code map, for whatever. Yeah, so that is a little bit the goal of a workbench. So right now, for example, in what I want to do is I want to do the following. And I'm going to, and the way it's weird, and I know it's weird, yeah, but my brain is a little bit weird, is everything is rather to prompt in a terminal, everything is a file. So I like the file because here is very pragmatic for me, for some use cases where you see everything there. Here I can even have the loop subagent. So I'm going to turn that off for now. I'm going to explain that later. That, by the way, Xvoid and Savior, it's a new stuff here. So I published it yesterday for you guys. You can play with that. It's pretty cool. And it's really built for Rust, but it's pretty neat. And we might use it today. I'm using DeepSeek Pro, so I'm using that guy, DeepSeek. I'm using that guy here. So I created because the price is crazy. So if you go to AIPack, you can see the price chart over there. I've made this stuff, and I maintain that because AIPack is using that for the pricing. So it's relatively well maintained for what it shows. So you have Anthropic here, and then you have the DeepSeek over there. And then that is just crazy. Yeah. And basically you get a very cheap model. You get a $4-5 model of open source, but it's very, very good quality. I'm trying, so I use Fireworks as well. This is an American company. So don't send American data there. You can send open source. So I do a lot of open source. So all my open source go to China, no problem. And I work a lot with China. I have developers there, so I have no emotion there. But like when you work with a company, you want to be careful about choosing American or people on your continent or whatever. And so Fireworks is pretty good. And then I've been playing with the GLM 5.2 and Kimi 2.7. They're pretty good, but sometimes I'm missing some of my instruction. So I need to look at it. Yeah, so that is where I am today, but I'm using a lot this guy, DeepSeek V4 Pro, because the price is just crazy. Yeah. They slash it by 4. And it's the quality of these guys. And so right now here, what I want now in this API, so we saw that we did quite a bit of hand coding today. So we did that, and we have that. One thing that I would like to do is to be able to print the documentation of all of these APIs. Yeah, so we have a couple of APIs right now. So if I go to the script here, we have JSON API, Stringify, parse, and a web, which is just WebGet. My goal here is to work on the shape of that before I scale my code. Yeah. So I've been working on that for a week and a half right now, banging on the stuff to make sure that we can register the things relatively easy. You see, you can registry, that you can compose a registry. Things, you give your namespace, and you give your handler, and your handler is a normal Rust business, and then you have this type. So that is the goal here that I'm really aiming. The API is going to change a lot, yes, so don't depend on that yet, because I'm going to change quite a bit, and I'm simplifying, adding. It's a little bit. Oh, what does that mean, that? What do you mean? I think it was OpenAI who announced that they will be sending notice if they find out somebody is making money using GPT. I'm not sure. That seems weird. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. So there's Google here. So when you go, you go to this chart by default, it's OpenAI, Gemini, which is Google, and Anthropic. Yeah, so that is the thing. Then when you disconnect them, you can go to whatever. Or in fact, you can make it sticky. Yeah, so you can click on it, you remove it, and then you go to my DeepSeek here. Good luck to beat that. And DeepSeek Flash is super good. I'm using it all the time. I've been using it for 2 weeks. So now my run on AI, and I use AI a lot, is like $1 a day. Some things that will cost $10 to $15 to $20 with Opus or OpenAI. Gemini, I was very happy with Gemini at some point. I was a big fan until they took Gemini 3.5 Flash, which is triple the price. So they had Flash was amazing. It was, if you remove the recent, Flash was here. It was amazing. And then boom, they triple the price. And so now this guy is like back to normal price or whatever. It's not bad. I'm just saying it's unfortunate. Yeah. So that is basically at the price of 3.1, which means that they are going to triple Gemini 3.1 Pro. The 3.5 is going to be double the price at least. So that's why for open source, honestly, DeepSeek right now is, for me, it's rock solid. I'm going to, with Fireworks, I'm going to try with GLM2. I tried it. It does good work, but it doesn't follow my UDFX. But that is another topic for another day. Okay, so all of that to say, Deathstrong, okay. Yeah, until Taken. They all do that, Captain Chica. they all DVP. I'm taking the stuff that I can pronounce. DVP, yeah, no problem. It's because I didn't have Google. I had OpenAI and Anthropic, the name of the company, and then the other one was the name of the model. It's a little asymmetry over there. I might fix that. I don't know. And yeah, Captain Chica, I agree. It's kind of weird. So right now, this is why I'm building zcoder, AIPack, Procoder and stuff. I want to be completely model agnostic. I don't never take subscriptions because I know they all say, oh, it's cheaper, but you locked in then. If you change all the time, I reduce my stuff from $10 a day to $1 a day just by going to DeepSeek V4. I think they would come with DeepSeek V5, which will be very good. Hopefully, it will be in the same kind of realm. Even if they double the price, they will still be 10x, 20x cheaper. And so the goal here is to be really like relentless about changing and choosing the one you want. So with Procoder so Procoder is a pack of an AIPack. It's a little bit special to use. zcoder is going to be the thing which is going to be much more friendlier to use and familiar. But my trick with zcoder is I don't want to lose the control. Yeah. So that is the goal here, where you have a lot of control. So for example, here I say dflash. And so all of this model here, if I go to my .AIPack base, so if you go to your home.AIPack base, when you install it, all the models are here, all the alias. And you can make your own alias if you want. So here, for example, I'm using OMLX locally sometime. And that is a way that you can do with GenAI with custom environment variables. Otherwise, you can go with either Gemini or sometimes you can namespace Fireworks, and then you give your model over there. So I have all of these aliases that when you install, and then the nice thing is dflash is DeepSeek from the .com for their own stuff, and then this one. So that is the stuff. So that's why I like this. And in fact, here I'm using DeepSeek Flash, which is like 0.25 or 0.2 cents or whatever it is, crazy. I'm using Gemini Flashlight for CodeMap because that is actually the cheapest and super fast. So this one I can send like 1,000 files and it takes me like 60 seconds, 90 seconds with 32 concurrency. And then I have the workbench, and then I have my main model here, which is DeepPro Max, which is DeepSeek Max. So that is the way that I'm working with my model, which good luck to do these kind of things here. We're using stuff, and sometimes I can do Opus here. Yeah. So if I'm stuck, I go to Opus. I have some credit over there. And once in a while, I go to Opus, but not that much. And then that's it. So that is the way I work. So I have full control, and in one request, I use like 3 different models from 3 different providers. Yeah. So that is the way I like. And those are alias, but I can put the full name of this and it will work as well. So back to the thing here, which is that guy. So what we want is we have the script engine, and we have the way it works is you get your script engine like that, and then you can write your stuff. There's many things that I want to do. One of it is to be able to create your own script engine. Like, for example, right now in custom, we have done our own AIP registry, but we don't have the AIP default is not the default AIP kind of guy. So what if I wanted to combine my own API with the default of scripting? So that is one thing that we'll need to add at some point. The other one that I want to add as well is a way to say, hey, I want the documentation of everything. And so for example, when I do this guy, a script engine new, I should be able to do something like this. Yeah. I should be able to do So I say let engine equal script engine new. And then I would like to be able to do a kind of something like that, where we should the let doc markdown, and then it will be engine generate mddoc. Yeah? That could be good. And that will generate the mddoc of all of the APIs that are in the script engine. And then later, we want to be able to have a script engine and to compose different kind of registry. So hopefully that makes sense. So for that, what I'm going to do is the following is, so I am in my AIPack. I'm going to show you how it works here. And this is my parametric prompt in a way. So that is where I put my parameters. And that is where I put my prompt. And that is the answer is, some of the answer is. So now I'm saying I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to turn off the plan, spec and plan. It's going to make sense later. I'm going to call that. I'm going to create a new workbench. And the workbench is going to be called. So I have this workbench here. Let me do that. And this is my workbench. And git AC, which is staff C02 custom. And then I'm going to delete that guy. So that is a little bit like home cooking. Git AC, which is append commit, and clean. So I clean them, and I remove them, and then I put a clean, such as if one day I delete a workbench that I shouldn't delete it, I can go back. The workbench is not something I push, it's something for me. I still put it in Git, such as I can keep track of the progress and everything of whatever AI does. So what I like to do when I work with AI is every time I have something, it writes somewhere where there's a Git, such as I can see what each iteration does. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we want the script engine to be able to do a new, and then we want to be able to generate mddoc. And in fact, the thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a generate doc for now. And I'm going to say generate doc could be just a print of the JSON schema or whatever. It could be very ugly right now. So the way I do is I'm going to do the chat plan. I'm going to staff and gen doc. Okay. And I'm going to use DeepSeek Pro Max. I'm using dflash and dlight for my auto context. I'm going to say do not write any code files, update chat.md. Okay. And then I'm going to tell what I want it to do. And I'm going to say again in chat.md, capture this ask and give your answer. Okay. So the thing that what I'm calling that is a little bit the frame of the prompt. Yeah? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I would like to add a generate doc to script engine, okay, that will use schema rs to generate the function name, params, and result documentation schema for all of the function of the script engine. Okay, so that is what we're going to do here, what we want to do that. There's many ways of doing it. I have some of my ideas stuff, so I want to have Rust, I need to schema rs. I want to go through all of the entries and all these kind of things. I could do that, but it would take me kind of a while to navigate. So that's where I'm going to shape it first with AI. Then I'm going to discuss, and then when it's going to be good, I'm going to say, hey, you go there. And actually, we're going to do in a loop later. But right now, I've turned off the loop. And so cannot loop. Okay, that is one thing. There's a lot of knobs in a way, but it gives you the full control, this kind of things. So now the way it works is you go back to your terminal, you install AIPack. So you go to AIPack, AIPack.ai, and then you install it for these guys. Then you do AIPack install pro@coder, which is the procoder, and then you do install AIP run pro@coder. So that is the way it works. And the goal here is, it's going to complain. It's going to say, hey, you don't have any code keys. Yeah. So the API keys, there is a little bit rough. So I'm going to add the keys. I have a little script for that. Run procoder. So in zcoder, I want to ask people for their keys, store it in the key chain and all of that. But for now, this is the way it is. Now it does a code map. So code map, it goes through some of the files that hasn't been code map, and it builds this kind of code map. And a code map is something like that. So if I go to AIPack, procoder, and you can see the code map over there. And the code map is a JSON like that, where for each files, it has a hash, it has the M type, the name, and it has the summary and the when to use. And then when there's types, it has, hey, here's a public function that this guy export. And with that, I can send that to AI to say, hey, give me the file that I need to solve this problem. And that works amazingly well. So it's like a simplified Graphify. And rather to have a graph, it's a tree. And the AI builds a graph in his head. Yeah, so there's a whole step there, but that works extremely well. And in fact, if you put some files in the data of your workbench, that will be code map inside the workbench. It's very nice. So now if I go back there and I did a run, so he wants the auto context and say, hey, which file do I need? I have that number of files. So he went from 76 plus 12 files to 9 files. Yeah, that was the 9 files. Even give you the reason why he selected the 9 files. And then it say, hey, I've changed these files. So everything, this is kind of a dashboard, control board, and everything is files. So again, it's a very unique way. I'm not saying to use that. I'm just saying, I'm showing you the pattern. If you can use Cloud Code or Codex to do the same pattern, that's great. So now the AI tell me, hey, add a generic doc. We want a method so that it created that. That's good. And then it say high level, persist the entry, persist the registry inside stuff. Oh, that is interesting. It doesn't have that. Oh, interesting. Engine register. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So we didn't persist the registry there. What we did is to say, once you have the registry, we're calling engine, which is a script engine, register. So that's me, that's the AIProg. And then in the register, we go through all of the functions and we register directly with Lua. Yeah? So we're not keeping track of the registry. And so the AI here, and it's cool because I forgot it, the AI say, hey, you need to persist it, which makes sense. Now, my question in my head is to say, well, the other that I consume, are we going to have to arc it? There's something there that I need to think about. But we'll see. Both new and registry will set this registry, implement that result, iterate over. That makes sense. The path. Yeah. Okay. Schema rendering. Okay. Point. Okay, I forgot to ask something. Usually what I like to do here is I like to say, hey, ask questions. So I didn't give enough there. You can see the code here that I had. I had not much. It's like 1 cent. It costs nothing with this DeepSeek phone. And I think it went close enough. So what I'm going to do, git ac gendoc. My commits here doesn't matter that much. Is more to have a checkpoint. Here I should have nothing because it didn't add anything. Because right now I'm still in the brainstorming point. So the answer is going to be answer. Yes. Should respond to the registry for other use. Adding registry, successor. No. Yeah, so that's a good question. Should schema res be a public dependency? For me, it will not be a new dependency. I don't know. I'm going to say no on this guy. I don't know. Next step, modify script engine to have the registry, add generic doc, and write a test to construct stuff. Okay. So I'm going back. I'm going to do a git amend on my workbench. So here I am on my dot. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, let me disappear here. Here is my dot workbench. So this is what I do here. I do a git commit or I do a git sc clean. So I do this kind of stuff to keep my workbench, which is this folder, clean, such as I have the stuff. So if I go to that is Z, yeah, I'm going to have two guys. Yeah, I'm going to have now if I go here, I have the AIProg, which is and the dot workbench. Yeah. So that is where I am. So I think include the errors. I think I'm happy like that. And I'm going to do, okay. Let me know if you have any more questions. Also, for the first format, make it clear that it can be very simple. Okay, I'm going to, so I have a command R. The command R goes into the whole things and finds the right tmux and send R. Because here you can place replay or you can say R. So I have a whole little dance over there. So thank you here, DVP. I appreciate it. You spell error wrong. Yeah, so the nice thing is that the reason why I love AI is because you can spell wrong, it will fix it. But yes, I probably spell error wrong somewhere. So now it does that, and it's already done that guy. So here's a cool thing with AIPack. And so my trick is AIPack and Procoder is very powerful. I love it. I love the UI. You can go to the time. I mean, it's super powerful. Now it's a weird thing because like people can get overwhelmed. It's very unique, so it's confusing. So it kind of lack an opportunity here. From a me standpoint, I really want to have zcoder not losing, so I'm trying to simplify zcoder, but at the same be workbench centric because workbench is a key. But at the same time, I don't want to lose this power here. So every run you can see, and then we're going to see how we do a loop, and then it loops. So it's pretty cool. So we do the gen doc chat, so the guys the stuff, and you see that is the reason why I like to commit because I can see the stuff. Now I don't know why this guy. Oh, okay, that's fine because he had one too much. It annoys me. Do not write any code stuff. Make it clear. The initial generic dot output should be a markdown stuff. So that he clarified that. That's good. Early decision include the error schema. Not public registry system. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So I'm going to do a git amend of this one because again, my workbench is just for my bookkeeping. I don't really need to overthink it. And then I can actually create the stuff. So I'm going to do the loop here. And so I don't know xvoid and Savior if you're still here, but that is the new stuff. I know you use Procoder. And an AIPack, so that is a trick. So you can do a AIP install lab at loop. You will do the lab loop. And here are the things. You can do the loop here. And now, so we have our GenDoc, which is our workbench over there. And now we're going to change that. And we're going to say, I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to move that to data. And I'm going to say goal. Yeah? So it looks weird. Like people that use AI say, what are you doing? So now I have the chat. So I'm using the same workbench, but the chat that we had before now is becoming the goal. So I put it in data. Whatever files is in the root of the workbench won't be picked up except if you have chat, plan, and spec, and if it's true. Otherwise, it won't get picked up. However, when you put the thing in data, then it will be code map, and then the AI can pick it through. So I put it in code map, I change it, such that then after, I can say in chat.md, keep track of progress, ask, answer, question as needed. So now the AI will have the chat.md at the root of this guy to keep track of the whole things. Now, I'm going to say, following the look at the goal.md, now that we know what to do, create a plan.md, and then iterate to implement step by step. So that is going to do the following. That is going to say, hey, I'm going to look at the code. I'm going to look at what we decided over there. And I'm going to create a plan.md. So I need to make sure here that I have a plan.true. Otherwise, it will create a plan, but it won't see it and stuff. So that is one of the things with Procoder that you have to know all of this and comment and stuff. It's a little bit, I understand. With zcoder, I want a maestro, which is the orchestrator agent, that will make those decisions for us. But at the same point, I don't want to lose control. So there's something I'm getting there. But AIProg is critical to zcoder because every answer that needs to be executed from an LLM, I want to be an AIProg. So there's no tools again. Yeah? The goal of AIProg is to say, hey, we have all of these APIs, and then we give you some instruction, and then you write us the text answer and the program you want us to execute. So that is a goal here, that we have that. And so in zcoder, we'll do that. Today, it's the AIPack and that are doing that. So look at the goal and stuff and things. And now I can command R, which is wire, find the tmux, actually, and then send R to the tmux that has an AIP, the tmux of that folder. Yeah, so that's the way it works. So it's kind of a ninja trick a little bit, but it works pretty nice. And so now the thing here, we see that we had the run before, and you see that sometimes it kind of changed the name. This one is skip a bit somehow. I think it was very simple, so it didn't want to change. But then we are going to run that. And so there's a loop start and a loop prep. The loop prep is going to say, hey, the user is asking that, give me the loop instruction, and I'm going to show you where it is. And then after, it's going to go to the auto context, like this guy, and then it's going to do the work. Yeah, so that is the way it works. So there's subagent, but the subagent can change the prompt of the next one. So that is where the power is. So in a way, the loop subagent is going to change the prompt for the other one. So AIPack doesn't know how to do loop. Procoder doesn't know how to do loop. Actually, it's like super meta. But the agent is coming and then he say, hey, I can rewrite the prompt so I can do my own things. And I can be called after and before and after. So that is what it does. Now, this one is a little bit long here. It took 1 minute, but that's fine. And then we go to the auto context. So they say, hey, you have 76 files. You have that. And then we're going to do so. So that is one thing. So now, one of the things here, and the reason why I'm building zcoder, so I'm going to talk a little bit while it's working. Is the reason why I'm doing zcoder is here's what we have. Yeah, we have our project, which is AIProg, and we have AIPack and Procoder. And the trick is to say, well, okay, we have one workbench, which is a workbench that we're doing right now, which is actually, it's here, the workbench, typically, yeah, workbench, and giving you the information, which is a gen doc, okay? Well, the trick is, and it's working on the file, and it's working. I could start a new guy here, a new Procoder on a new folder for this repo and start it in parallel. That will actually work. But then it's get very confusing because you have like different folders and stuff, and I could work it this way, but it's too heavy, yeah? And so you see here, we did the initial plan, and now it rerun it itself. It goes and run it again. Yeah, so that is where it's pretty cool. So it did the first one, and now he say, hey, I have a next prompt, and then he's running. And so he say, hey, following the plan, implement next step. And so this is pretty cool. So it's working very nicely. So if you go to the gen doc, you will do cache, loop, and you see the next prompt over there, and you see the loop instruction, which is a re-articulation of my prompt. And so that is the way it works. So anyway, so the whole point is to say, well, the issue is that I'm working on this one, which is my gen doc, but I have a lot of other things that I want to work. So now I could create a work tree and then, you know, do another work tree or do another prompt and stuff, but it gets super complicated. What I want is to have a zcoder, which is going to be the next generation of Procoder in a way, which allows me in a terminal, you know, and it will be more familiar, the prompt will be there, but to have different workbenches. So like this, I can work with all my workbenches and I can start on working on this one. And it's funny because it's going to be a little bit like Rust, where you are going to have one workbench that can write on the work tree, and the other one that can read in a way. Yeah, a little bit more relaxed than Rust. But the point is that now I can have multiple people working on the same work tree, and then I can have multiple work tree if I want. But even in the same work tree, as long as they don't change the code, because otherwise it will be a mess, they can work in parallel. So all of the brainstorming and everything could be done in parallel. I don't have to wait until this guy. Today I have more or less, yeah? Wait until this guy is done. So now I can work on another crate, which is what I do a lot. But this one is going to work for a little while. Now, the nice things about using DeepSeek v4 is, you see, that is 2 cents. This guy is 0.15 cents right now with auto context and stuff. Is going to be another 1 to 2 cents. And so the nice thing here is that it's extremely efficient in a way. So you see, boom, it's done. So it kind of did another one. And so it changed all of these files. Here is because he made multiple changes on these guys. Sometimes they are collapsed in one, but somehow they were added like that. And that's it. So if I go here, the cool thing is, if I go to my gen stuff, my plan, and they have this nice thing here. You see that the plan, the way it's done. So if you look at the way it works is in cache, I have plan rules. That is where you define the way you want to do the plan rules. So that is what I worked on to say, hey, this is a plan. Okay, you have the little check mark, and this is when it was previously done, and that is when it's not done. So now, because of that, the AI knows how to create it, and then if I go to plan, then I have these nice things, and in Z we can have that, and so I have the checkbox here that moves down. Yeah, so that is pretty cool. So we did that first guy, and now he's working on that guy. Okay? So that is where it's working right now. And that first guy was 17 cents, 1.7 cents. His opus or stuff would have been 10x at least. If it was, actually, I'm going to tell you, I mean, I can tell you, I can give you a good hint. Yeah, that would have been quite a lot. So this one has a lot of reasoning, for example. Yeah, so I'm showing you here all of the things here, that cache, what has been cached and stuff. So you can click here. This one was cached, was completed. The saving is here. Oh, by the way, it disappeared. Sorry about that. And then that is pretty good. So now it goes back. Oh, so now the thing on this one, yeah, so now you go back and then following the plan and stuff. Now, the cool things about this is because we have the loop, and the loop has a build, test, and lint. Lint is Clippy, basically. It's very built for Rust, these guys. If the build or the test fails, it will pause the loop in a way and fix the build on the test, and then it would go back and stuff. So it's actually super cool. Yeah. I'm surprised here that everything was working fine, but hopefully I didn't break anything, but we'll see. And then it's autofix. So that is, it's kind of a mouthful in a way of sub-agents here and stuff. So right now it's in a way, it's like in zcoder, I want the things a little bit to be not as overwhelming to the user, but the control here is through the roof because you know exactly what is going on and, you know, stuff. Then you see the prompt and you can navigate and stuff. So everything is stored in SQLite. I'm using Ratatouille for the whole thing. So as you can see, the thing is running live. You can navigate everywhere. And the code map, you can code map 1,000 files and it goes super fast and you can still use the UI to navigate or do everything. So all of this parallelism, I want to have it in zcoder. And then it's going to be a new, if I can make it, it will be a new kind of way of coding with AI rather than being a me too, but we'll see. But the trick here is that the AIProg is the key one of this one. So that is the stuff. So now usually what I do is I let this guy run. So back in the days, which was 2 months ago, I was using AIPack. I mean, AIPack, I've been using it for a year and a half. And then usually I was going the plan with the AI one by one. And if there's a bug fix, I was like prompting and I was like, fix the bug and stuff. And now that I have the loop, I let it run. And it doesn't really, you know, I kind of follow a little bit, but I let it run and then I judge at the end. Okay? So typically what I will do is to say, well, when I am on these kind of things, I will do something like this where, I need to check something. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just needed to check something. Now, the thing I'm going to do, typically when it works like that, what I do now is I do another stuff and I work on another project. So one thing that I want to add into AIProg, and so here again, I'm using my hammer spoon. So anybody that is on Mac, I strongly recommend, and that is Geek. This is, I mean, these guys, they're genius. It's amazing. Yeah, so you download it, it's something that runs all the time, and then you can create your own, it's in Lua as well. So you create your own Lua kind of things, and then it binds to Objective-C and Swift, their stuff, and you can control the thing. So this is a way that I'm doing, look at that. Like before that, I made that in video. Now I have the thing like that. So it's cool because now when I create my project, I can see, and that goes to the SQLite database of Z. So meaning that is actually coming from the database of Z over there. And so I know what has been recently opened in Z, which I use Z for everything. And then I can see the one that has a terminal, the one that doesn't have the terminal. I can shift option, and then I click, and that will delete the project, but keep redisplays a pop-up. So that is super cool. And so that is a way I'm using a lot now. And that saved me so much time. And the funny thing is, big thanks to Z, because they removed something. They had something which was pretty good over there. They had this. No, they had that guy. Oh, look at that. They had that guy, and when you command click, it was opening it. But right now, if you have AIPack base already open, it will open 2 windows. So they changed the whole windowing kind of things, and it doesn't really make sense, I think, and it's getting very hard to use. So there's a bug, there's a PR. Guys, I did a nice PR to fix it. It's not getting merged. And so rather to fight that, I decided to go with Hammerspoon. It was a nice command somewhere that made me discover Hammerspoon. And that is super cool now, because now I have full control. So typically when that is going, so I think this guy is still going. Is it still going or not? Yeah, still going. And so you see there's build and test links here. So if I go there and I go to my workbench, check, I can do the cargo test. And the cargo test, something failed somewhere. This guy. And he's going to fix it and stuff and things. And then there's also one thing I need to ask is I can tell him to put prints into the cargo test to get more information. So that is one thing with AI. When you work with AI, it's a very good way of saying to AI to say, debug prints. Say, hey, you print stuff, and then you would get it at the next loop. Yeah. So that is at the next run. So the funny thing is everybody's talking about loop right now, but AIPack has been built on runs since the beginning. So I have this run. So this is why it's a redo. Yes. So I had that guys that initiated, and then these guys that are a little bit in blue over there. Yeah. Those guys that are a little bit different colors. Yeah. Those guys are actually redo. Yeah. So I started here, and then it did redo. And then this one is running, and then eventually it will get done. So it's pretty neat. So now that being that is going to fix that. And now there's a new project that I like it. So I do this and look at that. If I click this, it doesn't, it just reopen it. So that is another one. And this is what I called, let me put it a little bit more at the center. That is my XP, and it's actually, you have it over there. And so my XP, I'm going to put it in the chat. My XP things here is when I learn a new library or whatever, I have my Rust XPs, and I have like 50 of them or whatever. And there's a crate here, which is Chromiumoxide. What Chromiumoxide does is very cool. Chromiumoxide. What they, oh, look at that. It's Chromiumoxide. And that is basically allowing you to control Chrome with a CDP, which is a Chrome Developer Protocol. Yeah. There's another one, which is a headless guy. I think it's this one, which I think is a little bit more popular. A little to a lot. Yeah, 2 million, okay. So this one, so they don't have the same. I like this summary sometimes, and they don't have it when. So all time 2,900,000. So this one is pretty well maintained, and it's a big guy. And then this one is, I think, a little bit a lower level here. So right now, it doesn't really matter. I don't know which one is better. And this one looks a lot, and they looks well maintained. One of the things that, when I asked AI, actually said that this one was a little bit lower level. So I don't know which one, but right now I'm using that. It doesn't really matter. At some point, I will normalize it. But the point is, in my AIProg, I want to have something that I can do in Lua. So it will be, let me go back to AIProg. Here I am on the AIProg business. So what I want is, as I was saying, I want here having an AIP Chrome _ Chrome, and then we'll have an API in Lua for Chrome. And it's not about making the MCP of CDP. So you see a lot of these kind of things, MCP of CDP, but it's weird because it's too granular. It's not really what you want from the AI standpoint. You want something a little bit more higher level. What you want so you want to use those libraries because those are killer libraries. But what you want to expose to AI, you don't have to expose. So this one is okay. The selector is okay. But for example, sometimes you just want to get the HTML content, or you want to get it as a slim version of HTML, or you want to get it as Markdown. Those are not APIs that you have if you are using the MCP of Chrome or whatever it is, because it's a bridge to CDP, and it's like almost like a one-to-one, not a one-to-one mapping, but it's relatively granular at the test level. From a user level, what you want is, you want new page. So there's a lot of things you want, but you want a little bit higher level sometimes. So that is my goal here of AIProg, is to try to have this kind of level of things. So to learn those API, I always do, is this guy is finished or not? Oh yeah, it is finished. Okay. So what I want to do, what I want to do on this guy is to have the aip.chrome. New page stuff, or even get Markdown for page. Yeah. So if you cannot get it through the web request from the server, because you should try that first, because that is always simpler, then you should be able to get it from the UI. So anyway, let's see what he did. So that is one of the reasons, again, why I like to commit before, because now I committed, I give this guy there, look at the goal stuff, and then make sure blah, blah, blah and stuff. So that was my prompt that kind of rewrote it here in a way. And then it did all the steps. Sometimes there were some compile issues. Yeah. So if we go there were some, where was the compile issues? Yeah, here, there were some compile issues, and then eventually, boom, complete. So that's pretty cool. Look at the cost here, 14 cents. I would have been, and that was stuff, I would have been with anything else. I mean, with Google Cloud stuff, I would have been at, $1 or something like that. $1.5, $2, easy. Yeah. And it wouldn't have gone necessarily faster. Once you do the plan, they are about the same. So my strong recommendation here is for open source. You can try local models. I bought a big machine here. I have the biggest MacBook Pro and 5 and stuff, and Macs and so on. But then, and this is why I can connect to OMLX, which is great. But you don't reach this level of DeepSeek V4 Pro or whatever. But I'm using that a lot. Yeah. And then the dash max here is a way of GenAI. I can pass this suffix to tell I want the max level or high or X high or whatever. So that is what I'm doing here. So I didn't take risk, and it did that. So if you look at that, 0.03 cents to do this request. I mean, it's just, the price is just crazy. So now that is pretty interesting. He did the register defense. Why didn't do the registry? That is interesting. So now it does the things in its registry. Okay. That's weird. Okay, so going back here, script engine is what we're using. We're using the Lua engine. And then we have what we call AIP registry over there. And that is where we store all of the function and all the entries. Now, the way, and I think it was because of an ownership kind of thing, is he created an AIP register function, which I think is not new. It was there from, oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. That could be Arc, perhaps, because we're like copying everywhere. I don't know. Everything could be Arc, perhaps. I don't know. But that makes sense. So you had it before. So one of my strong recommendations is when you work with AI, always have a clean commit before you start AI. Because now I can know what it added or not. Yeah. And I don't commit yet. I don't want it to commit. And in fact, it's funny. Yeah. My whole loop, I want to see it, at the end, what it gave me. Yeah? For me, a loop, it's almost like the atomic level at the end. Now, there's a point of being able to, understand, what I did, but it's another topic. So that is okay. So if I go to my script, my engine, so I added a vector, so that I'm okay with that. So now, for example, here we're creating a new engine with nothing. Okay. We need the native is business. That is a whole new stuff. I will rename that later. That is registry. We need all the registries. So we get a big AIP registry. Makes sense. And I think we're going to update this register FN there, which makes sense. As I can see that. And then I go to engine register, which this one shouldn't be pub or pub super. So that's good because you keep it there. That's good. That's what we want. We do a list of registered. So that is what it added. Oh, funny. That he added this. Mute self. Yes, he added the mute. So that's good. Then we did the list registered, and then okay, that's it. What does this list registered? I clone everything. What is a schema? Oh, a schema is a value. So here's the thing I'm thinking in my head. It's to say, okay, this is set a value. Yeah, that should be a set a value. Yeah, this is set a value. So it's not optimum right now because it's cloning everything, but it works. And the thing I like it is that it's okay. It's okay. Eventually, a register FN, I might do something like that. I'm not saying I'm going to do this, yeah, but I'm going to do that, and then that guy will be that. So this might be something eventually. Oh, sorry, I'm being silly. That I will do. Yeah. And I must ask AI to refactor that and do a loop and stuff. But that is the thing I'm thinking at some point. And then I will have the debug and the clone of this guy. And then here I will do that. So I will make sure that this one doesn't clone. And then this one. Oh, I'm sorry. That will be an arc. Yeah. I will do something like that. I'm not going to do that now because I want to see if that works. That is future optimization. The nice things about the API and stuff is that it shouldn't really matter that much. So that would be good. And I think Arc is okay. when you say arc is how do you want to be granular, yes, but I think an arc at this level is okay because you don't want to clone those guys. So that's good. And there's no handlers here. So the handlers get consumed. So I like that a lot because the handlers get consumed. Yeah. If you look at the registry has a schema and the whole thing, and then they have the handlers of the function. So the handlers are not needed here. Yeah. So you get the entry handlers, but then here it doesn't get the handler. So that is a way. I like the way it did it. So this is actually pretty cool. And then it did that and then stuff. So I press save and it does compile. I'm going to do that. I'm going to unzoom that. And I'm going to do a cargo test here. Awesome. And now I am going to do, so I think I'm going to be happy with that. So I'm going to unzip that and I'm going to say git AC, which is append commit, git log first to know where I am. Okay, good. Git AC, big plus, that an add. Now, honestly, I have my little funky notation here with plus dot, another one completely valid is a fit, which is much more. So I'm going to do a hybrid here. Fit, and the feature is engine doc. It's not right? First pass at engine generate doc. Okay, that would be good enough. Okay. So now we have this, and it's pretty cool. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take one of these guys, a simple guy, and, I can write it there. I can put it in the simple one. It's maybe a little bit big. Well, no, I'm going to take the simple guy, and I'm going to do a doc. I'm going to put a C3. So the reason why is like chapter or like E. I mean, E is like error, but this way we have an order a little bit of what you want to play with. But at some point, it's overthinking. But we're going to do a new script engine, and the reason why I do that is not to test the function, because the function is already tested somewhere there, but is to test the shape of the API. So that is what matters to me, is I want to see if I like it. So let dog equal script engine println. Well, so far so good. So now I go there, and I'm going to go there, CWE, which is cargo watch exec, cargo run examples, C03, doc. Is that good or is that? Oh, yeah. Okay, it's ugly, but it's good. What does it do here? Meta about Falafel. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that is ugly. There's quite a bit of things that I want to create. So one of the thing again, so what we're doing here is we're doing these things. Yeah. So for the people that we are doing these things where it's AIProg, it's a crate here. Yeah, so it's the AI program. And the goal of the AI program is to have tool calling from tool calling to program running. So rather to ping pong with the AI to ask every time, hey, run these tools, and then I would give you the answer, and then you run the other tools. You say, hey, here's all of the function you have, and you can write a code for it. So that is a goal. So the goal is, again, we do this API doc. This is critical. And that is what we're working today here. So how do we generate that now that we register our 3 little APIs? So by definition here, I'm just working with these 2 APIs. I have 150 that I want to build, and that are already built in, I have those 2 APIs here that I'm working, but I have 150 that are already built. So I already built them in the AIPack business. Yeah? So if you go to AIPack, you go to documentation, this is all of the APIs I want to build. But the way I built it is I really kind of crank it into the AIPack kind of thing. There's no self-documentation. So AI is helping me writing this documentation. So the documentation is actually pretty cool. And there's an LLM optimized version of that. So for example, if you go to the stuff, you go to, ClearApp, you are going to see in init, base, pack. I put it here because like this is a pack. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Core for LLM. And that is where you have API reference for LLM. And so boom, you have the whole API reference optimized for LLM. So in a way I don't know how close I have to be there. Here's a trick with AI is when you have to explain the structure of a scripting kind of language, TypeScript format is heaven. You understand it very well, obviously. So you don't go crazy with all the TypeScript features, but if you keep it simple, it's very readable and the AI completely understand it. Even if it's Lua and TypeScript is JavaScript, it's the same kind of pattern and you can use the name you want. And so it gets very, very clean. Yeah? So in many ways, this is a markdown. Yes, here you have this, but if you see the code, it's a clean markdown. And the TypeScript here. And at the top, I say, hey, I give you in TypeScript, but it's not TypeScript, but stuff. So what we want is we want now the AIProg is a generalization of that. So we want the AIProg to say, hey, you can generate the doc. Right now, it generates this monster. And that is a monster. We're not sending that. I know people love to send JSON to AI, but not on my watch. Yeah, this is just silly. Yeah. And again, the goal here is not JSON tools, yeah, because if you send tools, that's the format, so you have to follow that. That's not the goal. The goal is to say, how can I tell the doc of my APIs, such as it can code Lua program rather than Lua function calling. Yeah. So what we want is to have a nice formatter of this guy into a markdown way. And so that would be the next step. But the cool thing is everything works very nicely. So now what I will need to do is to have some types, you know, and we need to have a schema formatter, basically, in the doc. So one thing I'm going to have, and I don't know, generate doc. So if I go, where did he put the generate doc? Huh? Well, generate. That's weird. Go to custom. Well, I don't know why you didn't find it. Huh, interesting. So that is where we want to do the stuff. So I'm going to show you something that I'm going to do here. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take that guy. So I'm very happy with that. So first I'm going to go here. This is again Tmux, Alacrity with Tmux, Z over there, and the cool hammer spoon for that. So I have two kind of shortcuts. Is one that position it below my terminal, and that is the way I work. Yeah. So if I do like this, you will see if I do this, boom, it goes just below. So that's the way I work all the time in my screen. When I do YouTube or live videos, I have another shortcut. I mean, one more key, and then I move it on top. And then Hammer Spoon does that for me. So the cool thing here is I have this boom stuff, and then I can do that, and then move it there. So it's a nice stuff. And so, and then I like to use my Tmux stuff. So now I'm going to do a git amend, git log. Didn't push it yet, so I'm going to do a git AA, which is append amend, because I added this file. Okay, so I have all my little aliases there, but it doesn't matter. So now that I have that, I want to okay, so I'm going to don't save. I don't know what I did there. So once I have that, what I want to do is oh yeah, one thing I wanted to show you is I wanted to go to my source. And one thing we're going to do is, you see I have my engine over there. And the engine is the one that has the generate doc, which is cool. This generate doc is going to become a beast by itself. I know that. So what I'm going to do is I have different ways. I can have private inner kind of things, or what I can do is I can move that. I'm going to remove that. So now that should compile somewhere. I mean, it should complain somewhere. I'm going to do a mod engine doc. That's the way I'm going to do it right now. And I love the way that Rust has this module support business because it's very good. Implement script engine. So that is one thing in Java or whatever is not possible because everything has a class. Here I can split the way I want it. Now I need to make sure that everything goes fine. Okay. And that's it. That was a little bit overly simple. I don't know. Okay. That means that we don't use a lot of stuff. So now I still have the same thing. So if I go back to my guy, that should work nicely. So I'm just going to triple check. Yep. So now I have this. And because I didn't push it, I can do a git AA, which is append stuff. So this one is a little bit on the edge, but that's fine. So that's it. So now I have that and it's clean. And now what I can do is I can do two things. One is allowing people to, so for example, so right now I don't like this whole thing. So I'm going, I'm thinking right now, I don't like the fact that it's so verbose and not very usable. But I don't want to remove it. So I need to think about a way. So I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to do a self. It's ugly, but that's fine. And I'm going to do true for short. And I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the import. Oh, sorry. Pub, not pub, fn. And so I don't like that. So as you can see here, we ask AI to code it, but I'm shaping it by hand. I could prompt it, but it's kind of silly. So I like to do it like that, and I do a create result. Okay, my mistake. Okay, so that is good. What does this guy is confusing? Ah. Okay, so that's it. So script engine, sorry, I misspell all the time stuff. And generic doc inner. Okay. And we do a bool short. And then I'm going to say heading only. Okay, if not heading only, then we'll display this guy. So that is the way we're going to do it for now. And we're going to see what this guy is doing. So I have it wired such as I have to save. Okay, much better. So I'm going to do that. The question in my head is to say, well, do I do git log? Do I make it? Git C? And I'm going to say engine doc. So usually I wouldn't push that, but we're early enough, I'm fine. So now the cool things about this is that I have the doc like this, and then, and eventually I might have some generate doc with some input there. Yeah, so you might have, how do I want to generate a doc? But I don't want to overthink it right now. Right now it's fine. And one thing that I want is I want to go back to my C3 doc over there, generate doc, and I do the generate doc inner. And so what I want is to be able to compose. So I wanted to do the Chrome, but today we're not going to have time to do the Chrome Oxide stuff. But I want to be able to see if we can compose things. So the cool thing here is that now this formatting here, I just need to think about it, but it's going to be relatively simple. So it's going to be the way I like it is to have something like that, which is one comments region, and I'm going to do support. So support is support for that guy. Okay. So that is what I like to have. I'm going to put that like. And the reason why I did that is because if I go to my custom and I'm going to print the doc over there. So I'm printing the greetings and I'm going to print the doc. Okay, so that should work. Now, I'm going to do something like that. Doc. Okay. So now if I go to my guy here and I do a C02 custom, I have that doc, which makes sense. I'm happy actually about it. And that's cool. Now, what I want is to make sure that my custom here, I want it to merge with the rest. Yeah? So git amen. So what I want is when I print the custom, we did a default registry here. But what I want is to make sure that I can ask the registry of the same one that is a default here. So I want to have this guy, script modules. And so my registry is over there. So this is where today I'm not super happy with my things. My registry is at the root. This one is there. The namespacing, AI, I might, from an export standpoint, script engine should be at the root. So there's that I need to change here. My question is to say that my registry should be here. I don't like it there. So we're going to move it here. That would be a big kaboom, I guess. And so here I don't want to do that with AI because it's refactoring, and so AI will create a mess. Yeah. So why didn't complain? Mod. Lib mod registry. I'm going to remove that. The modules here. And I might flatten the stuff up. I'm not super happy with this stuff. And the reason why I'm putting a registry here is because I don't want to make things in modules accessible from outside that is not needed. So if I had registry there, then it will be like a tricky part. If I have registry here, because what I want is to have a registry, and I want, the engine, this guy, that should be a registry thing. So yeah, it should be like AIP registry or something like that. Yeah. So I want that. So I don't want to expose this script modules business, but what I want is my registry. So register sync. So I want that. Where's my constructor? So I don't like it because there's no So right now, this is good. Where I have my registry default. Oh, okay, you all went back. Okay, so that is the default, that's fine. So I'm going to have an implement struct AIP AIP registry. And what I want is pub.fn. And I want to have from default AIP. Okay, the name is stable, but let's say that we have that. And we are going to do a result. I don't know why, AIP registry. And that is what I want to return. So that is what I want to return. So this way, I had this, and this one doesn't complain. So that's good. Now, there's a lot of compile issues here, and this is because all of these guys, where is this guy? Oh, it's test. Sometimes it's hard to find. Yeah. I'm going to, it's a mess right now a little bit, my naming, but I will solve it. So I know it's a mess. It's always good to know where the mess is. So today I'm not going to be proud, but what I'm going to do is going to be something like that. Mod registry. I shouldn't do that, but pub use script. This is a very dirty hack. Why it doesn't... Okay. That makes the thing call, but I'm not happy at all with that. Okay, guys. Oh, this one compile, but why doesn't... Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough, because I didn't put it pub. Okay. I'm going to fix that later, right now. So, but I wanted to make sure I had it correctly laid out. And so again, the trick here is all of the script engine and even the registry, I want to re-export them as base. There's some handlers and everything that need to be re-exported as well. So I need to think about that. But the point here is now it should work pretty nicely. So if I go to my CD stuff, that should work. So now I have my custom and I have only that as a doc, okay? But now, and I'm going to say that git log git c refactor script layout, and then I'm going to, yeah, that's fine. And it's a git, it's append here that I want to do. And then what I'm going to do, that I have the script, is we want to allow to compose it. Yeah, so we want to have the registry, and we want in our custom to be able to create our default registry. So rather to have this registry over there, now I should do default AIP table name. Then if I press, oh, that's not nice. Why? Oh yeah, that's good, good. Default AIP, question mark. And look at that, we just did it just like that. And that will be the end of the day. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And then that's it. Oh yeah, super happy. So now the cool thing is, look at this. We had the default AIP, whatever is in the IP. Otherwise, I can create with the default empty, okay? It's funny because I shouldn't have default. I could have empty. I like empty. Then I have AIP base. You know, so I'm brainstorming about the API, the shape I want. Yeah. Default, I'm definitely not like this one. But the cool thing is it works beautiful. Yeah, because it does this. So now I have this API here, and then I have the other guys, and I have the doc of the stuff. So again, the formatting doesn't work, it's all ugly and things. But the point is that now we have this registry business. I can register my own. If I go to custom, I have my own greetings here. I should be able, thanks to the awesome JSON schema RS, I should be able to say, you know, name of to be greeted. I don't know if that is English or whatever. But then, and I should be able to kind of comment this guy here, the greeting. Yeah, and then the error, it should be something. Again, I'm still working a lot on the shape, yeah, so do not depend of your code on this stuff. But it's starting to get pretty cool because now we register this app, we have self-documentation, and we can compose it. Now, the only thing here that I don't like is that this guy here is this, and we're going to say AIP modules. Why does it complain? Oh yeah, because I think it doesn't change it somehow when AIP modules. So that's good. I check that, works good. And then I'm going to do another one, which is going to be painful here. I'm sorry about that, but I don't like this default business because it's not clear. You know, when I have question, I don't like a question. Yeah. So pub fn, and in fact, if I follow my this is my Fluid API that I like. Is from is a constructor kind of thing. So with is a builder consuming pattern kind of stuff. So I can say from empty. Now, yeah, because this one is very explicit that I don't get anything. And I could have say, you know, with, but yeah. Yeah, from AP modules. Okay, that's fine. And then that will be AIP. And so I'm killing the I'm killing the stuff. Yeah. Okay. So that is a thing. So in the test here, I think I should be because I didn't know if I could reshape. Oh, that's weird. Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Do I want the from empty to not? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do the from empty that cannot infallible. And from AIP. Yeah, could be called empty perhaps. From empty is too much. So yeah. And again, usually I don't have empty, but in this particular case, I think is good to disambiguate. I could do as I should have done a big I should have done a big refresh here. That was silly, but I should have done that. Empty. Okay. I don't like the from empty. I might rename it, but that is going to be a piece of cake. Okay, so the simple here. Okay, now everything works because this guy didn't create anything. That's it. And that is pretty cool. I'm going to git log. Yeah, I'm going to amend it on this one. It's a refactor, it's the same thing. And then that's it. So that is pretty cool. That is what I wanted to do today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think it's going to do stuff. So what we did today is we did pretty cool stuff. So we did the following is, so again, we are working on the AIProg kind of crate over there. And the goal is to have Lua and rather to have function calling. We have, so rather to have tool calling, sorry. We have program running. So now what we do is we have our script engine. We can register our own custom functions, and then we can document it. And then we can send that to the AI to say, hey, here's all the functions, here's the stuff, send me the script. Because we own everything in our Rust, we can display the stack to the user, run the program, and then do a loop or do whatever we want. So that is really the power of the business here. So hopefully that was helpful to some. And there's quite a bit of delay here. Next time I should do it. I think there's a way to make it less delay on YouTube. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. I think the chat will stay there for a little while. Feel free to follow me on Twitter or on my Discord. Here, I think the link is below in the description. And until next one, happy coding.